The piano-guitar duo is a great option if you are in a smaller context with limited musicians, or if your church has been using traditional hymns or traditional music and you'd like to start incorporating some more contemporary songs. This is a very light, friendly way to do that. Today specifically, I'm going to talk about how to play piano with a guitar player. There's basically 3 questions that you need to answer when you're getting ready to do this. The first is deciding who's in charge. And what I mean by that is your congregation, when they're singing with you, whether they know it or not, have a dependence on who is setting the rhythm of the song. And because you're playing with a rhythm guitar and because it's more percussive than a piano is, then what we want to do in this situation as a pianist is that we want to submit to the rhythm that the guitar player is using. The second question that we need to ask naturally is, well, if that's the case, then can we hear him? It's very common when you're doing a sound check that you can hear your guitar player really well, but then when the congregation starts singing and then maybe you get a little adrenaline pumping, that the monitor level isn't quite what you thought it was. So make sure you have good communication with your sound tech, or if you've got personal mixers, make sure you have quick access to turn up your guitar player, especially if he starts finger picking, because then you'll have another drop in volume. And then the last question that you need to ask is, have you internalized his tempo? You've probably noticed in some popular music before that even if you have a rhythm guitar player, he may not always be playing for the entire song. And so if it gets handed off to you as a piano player and you're leading a verse on your own, you need to continue that same rhythmic confidence so that the congregation can continue to sing confidently with you if you're leading a verse with just piano. Sometimes I will even mimic a guitar strum pattern on the piano. For instance, if the guitar player is playing like this, I might continue that pattern when he drops out. Just so that way the congregation still feels like, okay, that was intentional, the tempo and the rhythm is still there. And then when the guitar player comes back in, or if it's a larger band, nobody's having to adjust to what you were just doing. All right, so we're going to talk about how to do piano with the guitar. We've answered those 3 questions. Now what we're looking at is, what can the piano do that the guitar player can't, since he's playing rhythm? Well, the first thing you can do is melody. Now, certain guitar players, like the one I have today, might be able to figure out ways to play rhythm and melody at the same time, but in most contexts, you are free to be able to add melodic patterns to your playing. Another thing that you know just from how big the piano is that there's a bigger bass range. And so guitar, lowest note on guitar is usually the E, unless they're fancy and they're playing in drop D or lower than that. But the piano has lower bass range, so you can do that. And then the third and final thing is that you can add more coloring to it. This takes a little bit of time because this is where you're basically orchestrating on the spot. You're thinking, would there be more violins here, or is a whole orchestra playing? Am I resting? Am I choosing certain rhythmic patterns to accentuate the guitar, or am I just playing long whole notes to make it sound more droney and ethereal? And so these are questions that you also need to answer. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to demonstrate using my arrangement of Take My Life and Let It Be and show you what I did, the decisions that I made to orchestrate while playing with a rhythm guitar. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to play piano with guitar player using Take My Life and Let It Be. Thanks to Adam Wright for serving as my guitar player today. What we're going to do is we're going to listen to verse 2, which has a very percussive guitar pattern. And then I'm going to show you how I play piano with that and why I made the choices I did. But first, Adam, would you just play for us just one verse, verse 2 on the guitar?
Sure. 3, 4.
Great. So you can see how the part that he's playing, it's very steady, it's very percussive, and he's covering chords in the simplest way he can. So now I'm going to see where are the gaps, what can I do to enhance that and not cover it up and let him still be the leader. Okay, Adam, let's play it together. 2, re, and... see a few things I did there where I would play just half notes and whole notes. That's really good as a pianist because, again, if the rhythm guitar player is the leader in terms of saying the rhythm, you want to have check-ins every now and then. You don't want to be so busy that you really can't tell what his rhythm is. So just playing just easy little half notes, chord changes, and just while you're doing that, making sure you can hear him. You might also notice too that there are a few times that I accentuated the vocal line. So swift and beautiful for thee. I just went ahead and played exactly what they would be singing, maybe not the exact voicings, but try to accentuate that. I didn't really get too heavy in the bass. I didn't do a whole lot of melodic stuff. I did have one part. The one thing I will say about that, anytime that you want to go beyond eighth notes and maybe even play 16th notes, something that feels a little bit more like a solo, is absolutely crucial that you are counting before you start to play that. So one thing I'll do is if I'm playing with a guitar player and I know that's coming, I'll start counting quietly to myself. Chugga, 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 chugga. So that way I know when I'm about to play, I know that I'm already internalizing the tempo, I'm already feeling it, and that way I can just play right on top of what the actual tempo is, not one that I'm making up. All right, Adam, let's go over to the instrumental break. This is where I'm going to show you when the piano player has a little bit of permission to do more because there's no singing involved. This is just an interlude. So let's do that together. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so again, because the congregation's not singing, it's considered to be a turnaround. It's splicing together one verse to another. There is room for the piano player to say something. Again, because the rhythm guitar is limited, he's covering the chords and the percussion, there's not going to be a lot of room for him to do much soloing unless the rhythm completely drops out. So there's more that you can do there. You'll notice that I use octaves. You know, if you ever listen to an orchestra, you might have seen the tubular bells that sometimes they hit with the mallets. We're just emulating that, giving people something to think about right there. And then there's just a little fill, just to keep the sound of the piano going. And then I did it again. So we just made a little song in the middle of it. And then later on I came down, right? I was down here. One last little melody. And then as the solo is ending, we want to decrescendo, right? Because we're getting ready for a soft verse. So I'm going to do a lot less there. Now let's go to the final verse and the outro, and we'll see that's the biggest part of the song. What can we do there, again, without getting in the way of the rhythmic foundation, but also making it feel big? All right, so let's go to that key change I'm at G major. 2, 3, 4. So see there, I used some bigger bass notes. You know, that was the biggest part of the song. It's the loudest part. So I came on down with those big octaves. I also used bigger octaves in my hands. And I know not every pianist can reach this far. I certainly had to work for it. But, you know, bigger, thicker chords are okay. You know, you never want to be too muddy down here. But using big tenth stretches like that is good. And then once we got to the outro, you notice it was still big, but nobody's singing. So if you've heard the full track, this is kind of a mandolin solo. So I just doubled it. So that way we're encouraging what the mandolin solo is doing without getting in the way of it. But in this situation, if it's just a piano-guitar duo, that's just an easy way to cover something that's already happening in the arrangement. Well, I know there's a mandolin solo here, so let's go ahead and play that. And then we're going to form the chords underneath it. So once again, the guitar player was the leader this whole time because he's the tempo setter, he's the groove setter. Everything that I'm doing is basically just orchestrating around it. And this is going to take time. This is not something that you learn overnight. It takes trial and error. Take time to record yourself. Listen back. If you're still live streaming your services from when the coronavirus came through, you might be able to go and access that and see if what you did made sense. Did it step on the guitar player? Did it try and cheat the rhythm and therefore lose confidence in the rhythmic foundation? And see what you can do to improve that, and hopefully that will help you orchestrate well as you play with a guitar player. If you found this content helpful, I invite you to visit my site, rickbarnesmusic.com, where you can find more video tutorials and a lot of sheet music. Thanks for watching.